I was doing music with a music company called Brooklyn Music Factory, which is where a lot of the movies were filmed in Gowanus. And we like done a bunch of gigs like at like street fairs and bars and stuff. And I think somebody found this online.
Okay.
Because we had like a lot of videos uploaded and reached out to us, and we were like, it was less of a choice on our part. It was mostly like our parents like, yes, like, do it.
Did you know who David Byrne was?
I
or his
did.
record label? Or
I
your
did.
parents
It was
were like...
funny. There was like the night before our rehearsal with him, my dad like tried to sit me down and like do like a whole like, this is what you have to expect. I was like, Dad, this is like so uncool. Like, I know how to handle this. Like, I knew who he was, but I felt like in the moment he didn't feel like a big star. He was like a cool guy who showed up on a bike and like a denim helmet. Because he also lived in Brooklyn at the time, I think. But yeah, it was awesome.
That sounds like David Byrne.
Bike to every rehearsal, bike to every show.
Yeah. He was really cool.
Yeah.
So, I want to ask this question for both of you. One of the big mysteries in the film is not just Doug himself, but how he managed to play the guitar and like sonically make the sounds that he did on his album. And it's fascinating to watch all of these musicians. You are both musicians, so it was fascinating to see people grill Doug about how he was able to pull things off. And it was funny to me because someone said Doug was just, I like boxing, and I'm just a huge boxing fan. So he's sort of bringing that to his guitar, maybe some Hendrix. But I kind of wonder, for both of you as musicians, whether it's Doug or someone else, or let's just think Doug, do you think it's more like technical prowess, like how he was able to come up with those sounds? Or do you think it was more like the art, what was coming through him, his love for boxing or Jimi Hendrix, things like that?
I mean, like, Doug, I haven't seen Doug since the filming of this, but he has a very prominent point in my life. I feel like he was such a joy to be around. Obviously, the laugh probably stuck with a lot of people. But I genuinely think, like, that man just did how he felt. Like, it wasn't, I think a lot of the time, like, the background track is, like, a different area in his mind.
Right. And
he's there in the moment. He's like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, like, I'm going to do it how I want. So I feel like that was the uniqueness about him, that he was able to execute things. Obviously, a lot of the interviews, people were shocked by what he was doing or kind of confused or inspired. He was just like, man, like, I just felt like doing that, so that's what I wanted to do. I felt like that's how he went about life, was just like taking each step as he goes and like wanting to just go with the flow.
I think he was able to kind of make his lack of technical ability or even like knowledge a strength, and sort of figured things out accidentally, kind of on the fly. Maybe things he possibly couldn't even replicate. I don't know, but was able to just do things based on like he had a unique perspective and his like maybe lack of experience and his openness to the world. Like when we went to Tasmania and we went to like the Netherlands, we went a bunch of places. I'd like give him my iPod and he'd be like, I'd be like, what do you listen to, man? I'm like, oh, Mr. Bungle. I'm like, oh, okay. And he'd be like watching Jude Rollison films and like anything. Like he was just open to anything. And I think that's how he's been his whole life, and that kind of like informed an openness that he was able to kind of like create, like carve new paths that maybe other people hadn't. And also that openness combined with like a lack of, technique, that, a lack of learned technique, really made him kind of innovative.
Yeah, I really like how you said, you're talking about Doug's openness. Did anything in this process sort of challenge your both openness to what it means to play in a concert, or what kind of concert you could play, or the power of music, audiences versus who you link up with and play with?
I mean, at the time, we were just basically like a folk country band at that point. So like.
Oh wow, you were a country band?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Playing with the synth was kind of crazy, and I was also like really into trumpets at the time. So having a trumpet player behind me was like, this is really cool. Yeah, I mean, it opened up a whole new world for me, understanding artists. I mean, the artists we were playing with were known in their own right. So that was really sick. And it was just like the venues in themselves. We've been at the Ace Hotel as well. And so it was just like a speed go through life. And it's like, I feel like that was like my peak of just like,
It's been downhill ever since.
yeah, seriously, like playing all these people in like a matter of weeks, and these new sounds that I wasn't really familiar with, and being able to experiment in ways that I hadn't really before. I was also 14 years old, so it was kind of a speed run through life. And then coming out on the other end, I was like, guys, I could do so much now. But yeah, he definitely inspired experimentation, and like even during the shows, he hands off, just let us do whatever we wanted. I really appreciated that because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So.
Yeah, it was sort of like trial by fire. Like you just show up and do this thing, and it's like you just like dive into the deep end. Whatever happens, happens.
Right.
So I mean, the shows were borderline improvised. So it was
And you're
really-
also the director of this film, so you're playing the bongos, and
Right.
you have to orchestrate how you want someone to shoot the concert.
Right. You had to hire camera people in all the cities, some of which, like New York, is quite easy. Other ones, Tasmania, quite difficult. I got parents of the kids that we partnered with as cameramen, and I'd like give them a tutorial, like how, this is autofocus. This is how the lens works. I'd like literally film school, like the kids' parents and things, in other places where I didn't have connections.
Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
I have a really important question. Where do I listen to Gentle Persuasion?
Hell yeah.
Oh, all the streaming services.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's out there.
It's out there. Oh yeah.
And this from the film, these albums or these recordings, are they available as well?
No, but I have the entire shows. I have everything archived. So if you want to talk to me afterwards, I'm happy to send them. And I got other concerts too that aren't in the film that are quite good as well.
He's got the bootlegs, y'all.
$25. I'm happy to make it yours.
We can make another documentary about the bootlegs.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And Doug stories too. Make a whole
Yeah.
series.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, Alex.
When did the film come out, and how's he doing these days? You know?
So it premiered in 2019. We had a New York premiere, and it played a few other film festivals. Around then, and then he's doing well. I talked to him on the way here actually. I called him, told him about the screening. He was super excited. He's doing well. He's writing a children's book. He just told me. It's called Beyond Eden. It's about a young girl who loses a penny in the River Jordan, and she has to go find it. Yep. So he's doing well. I mean, we still talk all the time. We're buddies. I see him. I've seen him when I've been out in San Francisco. He's doing well. It's like, he had like cancer. He beat cancer. He's like gonna live forever. He's like, great. Yeah.
He's unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Yeah.
All right, we got time for one more.
So, but when you first, the very beginning, when you went, you didn't go knowing you were going to start the film, right? Because I don't know, at least the way it sounds like in the film, like the idea of making the film sort of came after you already had a show with him, or no? What was the process of that? Because you shot from the beginning.
Right. So basically, I mean, there's a different iteration of this film that has more of this in there. Basically, I heard Doug's music, filmed myself, like literally the second time I heard Gentle Persuasion, I filmed myself playing along because I had a drum kit in my basement. It's like an audition. Literally within like 10 minutes, Eric emailed me back, like, dude, you're in the band. And then was like, oh, actually, we're recording with the music school, you're booted, find something else to do. So I found the bongos, and then he looked me up and was like, oh, I see you do video production. Let me tell you about Doug's stories. It's really quite beautiful. So he sort of like solicited me a little bit, put it on a hook and like, put the line out like, hey, just so you know, Doug's kind of a great story. This is going to be an interesting project, which it didn't take much convincing. So, I think I didn't bring a camera to the first rehearsal because I didn't want to scare everybody, big cameras, big lenses.
That's always tough. It's like, who's this guy with a camera?
Right. So I didn't bring it to the first rehearsal. I just sort of let that be natural, even though there is some iPhone footage from it in the film. Yeah. But then afterwards, we just had cameras everywhere, and I'd have crews, and I knew people in New York that I would kind of commission, called in a bunch of favors. And with the nature of the project and people involved, it's pretty easy to get people excited about it.
Nice. All right, and if anyone who wasn't here tonight and you guys want to tell people about it, where can we find the film?
Oh, it's on Tubi. It's on Tubi for free. It's also on Amazon Prime Video and Apple TV and all streaming services.
And Sophia, where can we find your film? No Budge. You can find it for free on No Budge. So, and Space Lady also on all the streaming platforms as well. So if you want to get down to that music too. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. That was Brickflix. We'll be back again.
Doug wanted a photo.
How's he watching?
Bravo.
See ya.
Yeah, I think he's now
Well done, Jude.
I was hoping people like that pull.
Jude. So the girl on the harp.